Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions is brought to you by Newport-Fersan, Jamaica Limited, the first on the land.
All right, so it's time now for Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions. And this morning we're joined by Agronomist m.gooden. Good morning, Murphy. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Good morning, Alcia. I am doing good. And you?
I am great. Good to have you on with us. And of course, it's another opportunity for us to have a chat with our farmers and to share information with them. This morning, the topic is enhancing nutrition management efficiency through pH optimization. I know it sounds like a mouthful, but we're going to get to it, farmers, to help you to understand exactly where we're going with this. So, Murphy, first of all, why is pH a major topic when discussing plant nutrition management?
All right. Now, when we think about pH, I definitely would love for our farmers to have a healthy understanding of what we're talking about. Now, the term pH basically stands for potential hydrogen. Now, this is basically a measurement of how many hydrogen ions are present within a particular soil, or it can be basically within a liquid form. Now, when we talk about plant nutrition and pH, we're basically looking at how soluble nutrients are within the soil. Now, for the benefit of our farmers, I like for them to just picture a scale. Now, this scale is basically from 1 to 14. Now, 7 being the neutral point. Anything that is above 7 is termed as being alkaline. Anything below 7 is basically termed as being acidic. Now, when it comes down to the optimal pH level, and I will be stressing this point right through, the optimal soil pH for nutrients to be utilized is basically 5.5 to 6.5. So that means that for plants to utilize nutrients that we are putting on, the pH has to be between the ranges of 5.5 to 6.5. Now, in any case, if the pH is too high or too low, what you'll find is that some nutrients will basically become locked up, or you can basically say that they're unavailable for the plant. And in some cases, if the pH is not within the right range, you can see that some nutrients will basically become too soluble, and as a result, they can become too toxic for the plant. So it is important that we know the right pH, and we always try to stay between, again, the ranges of 5.5 to 6.5.
Okay. Now, how has improper pH management affected plant nutrition in the country?
All right, excellent point. Now, when you think about the improper pH management within the country, there are a few points that I like to speak about, one of which is the whole idea of the benefit of the soil. Now, my favorite term out here, or whenever I'm talking to my farmers, I always tell them that the soil is alive, right? The soil is alive. And for example, a lot of farmers, especially in my area, I tend to observe that a lot of over-fertilization has been taking place. Mm-hmm. That means that because a lot of farmers have not done a soil test, you'll find that a lot of farmers are just throwing fertilizer. Now, what this is doing is basically damaging the biological aspect of the soil. And if this is basically being damaged, what you'll find happening is that it will harm beneficial microbes, and as a result, it will affect the entire soil fertility, and this practice will basically affect the whole idea of what food security stands for, by therefore reducing our crop productivity. So it's important that we observe this as something that's being done within the island. So it's important for our farmers to have a soil test done, because a lot of farmers are just applying fertilizer, and that's not the way. And as a result, you'll find that they basically destroy the soil because they don't have that healthy understanding and the benefit of using fertilization, and basically understanding how beneficial pH is. Another thing that I've observed is that you'll find that a lot of farmers, or a lot of soil testing that I have done, you've seen where these nutrients are high within the soil, but the plants are basically displaying the deficiency as if these nutrients are not present. Now, oftentimes out here, the reason for this is the pH. A lot of farmers are not aware, and many farmers can agree with me when I say there are certain areas on the land, no matter what you plant, it seems like nothing at all cannot grow there. Oftentimes, this is basically as a poor pH management when it comes on to the soil.
I want to touch as well, Murphy, on the issue of water pH, because people will know you for the significant amount of work that is done in terms of that soil testing and understanding what is going on with the soil pH. But isn't the water pH important as well?
The water pH is as important as the soil pH out there. And I'm happy that you raised that point. Now, as mentioned earlier, when it comes down to our nutrient application, we want the pH to be between 5.5 to 6.5. The same can be applied when you're using your foliar fertilizer. That is, the fertilizer that you mix in your spray tank and you spray directly onto the leaves. Now, for these nutrients to work as effectively as how they should, again, the pH has to be between 5.5 to 6.5. As I go further, I'll also be highlighting some important solutions on how we can basically fix this.
And note that you had mentioned the optimal pH range for most plants, but can you just go back to that again and let us do a little bit of a deep dive, drill down some more in terms of the difference between the acidic soil and the alkaline soil?
Okay, no. When we talk about acidic soil, it's basically classified as anything that is below 6.9. So once we are going down 6.9 to 1 on the pH scale, it is termed as being acidic. Whereas when it comes down to your alkaline soil, it's basically anything above 7.9. Now, one of the things that I always stress to my farmers is the importance of knowing your pH. For example, in acidic soil, what you'll find happening is that there are certain macronutrients that will basically become unavailable if the soil is basically too acidic. So what do I mean by this? When we observe nutrients such as calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, if the pH is too acidic, you'll find that even though these nutrients are present within the soil, even though you are applying the fertilizer, if the pH rather is not fixed, it does not make any sense that you're applying this fertilizer because one, the plant will not be able to take it up. Now, in the acidic soil, again, out here, you'll also observe that because there has been an increase in the solubility, you'll find that certain toxic metals like your aluminum, your manganese, will basically exist in a form that is toxic to the root of the plant. So they'll basically damage the root plant, ultimately affecting the uptake of these nutrients within the soil. Now, on the other hand, when you look at alkaline soils, which as mentioned is above 7 or 7.9 on the pH scale, micronutrients like iron, zinc, copper, they tend to become less available, or the plant is unable to utilize them the more alkaline the soil gets, right? And just to also highlight the whole importance of pH does not only lie on a chemical aspect, it also affects the microbial activity that takes place within the soil. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, there are certain beneficial microbes or bacteria that basically help the breakdown of these nutrients within the soil. So if the soil is too acidic or too alkaline, meaning they are not between the ranges of 5.5 to 6.5, what you'll find is that these beneficial bacteria or microbes will basically become suppressed within the soil, and therefore it will affect the organic matter breakdown. Also, when you take a look at the soil structure and its fertility, pH also affects the soil and whole chemical balance. So what this basically means is that, for example, when you take a look at acidic soil, they tend to not all nutrient as well, and as a result, you'll have increased leaching taking place. Therefore, there's a need for more, or the frequency of fertilization will basically become more.
All right, and of course, this really is critical information that you're providing here for us this morning. Now, it is evident then, Murphy, that the balance has to be there in the soil. The balance has to be there in the water in order for the soil to perform optimally. How does the farmer achieve that balance?
No, okay, no. As it
And I don't
relates
want
to
I don't want you to tell me
yeah,
about the products. I just want to
yeah,
talk about what it is that they need to be doing, because we're going to get to the products a little bit later on that you have.
okay, now what farmers are supposed to be doing? They should be basically taking the time to learn more about the importance of pH. Now, as mentioned, again, as said, I will be stressing this point throughout my presentation. 5.5 to 6.5, that is the ideal range, right? Now, for example, if I should go in certain areas of my zone, which is basically the western area on the highlands, so if I should go to places like Tangle River, for example, in the Cambridge area, you'll find that these pineapple areas, the soil tend to be very acidic. And as a result, many farmers are using fertilizers. And if you should sit and have a conversation with them, they will tell you that they're not getting the result that they used to get, right? So what farmers should be doing, they should basically be paying more attention to pH when it comes down to the soil and how well the plants utilize that. Now, as said, when I go further, I'll be looking at the solution and products of what these farmers can do to fix this.
All right. We're just about on the break, so we might as well just clear that. And when we come back, Murphy, we'll have a little bit of a chat with a few farmers, and then we will come back to you for those solutions that you're mentioning. Farm Talk continues here on Power 106 FM. Murphy Gooden is on. We are inside the feature Fersan in the field, real issues, real solutions. And before we jump to the solutions that Murphy wants to share with you, we're going to be hearing from a few farmers. We're starting off with Griffin Gray. And Griffin is from HAC. Good morning and welcome back to the show, Mr. Gray. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Morning.
Good to have you on with us. How long has HAC been in operation?
All right, so the company was really established in 2019. Producing hemp, but they moved into vegetable production recently.
Oh, so you're diversifying.
Yes.
So it's vegetable matter of a different nature.
Yes.
We usually refer to hemp sometimes as that. Now, despite using Newport-Fersan's products for years, when did you really forge that personal relationship with their technical team?
It's been quite some time, but since I've been working with Murphy, it's been a much tighter relationship. For the last four years or so.
Oh, okay. So it's a good long time. Yeah. And I know that pH soil, the pH of the soil has been of particular concern to you. So what Newport-Fersan Jamaica services or products have you adapted in terms of that pH management on your farm?
So firstly, we always ensure that we get a soil test done. Over the vast acreage, there is much variation in the pH that we have. So we have pH ranging from as low as 4.5 going up to like 8.2.
Wow.
So there are many variables that can affect it. So we get our test done, and as a result of these tests, we may choose to add Calci-Fersan or Sulf-Fersan to make some adjustments to the pH to get it in a range that's more suitable for the crops.
And once you've added the ameliorant, what difference does it make?
All right. So what it really does, it creates an environment that's more suitable for nutrient uptake. Mm-hmm. So you get better productivity from the plants, you know.
Okay. Let me bring Akeem in. Akeem was on with us earlier on. Akeem is into watermelons. And Akeem, you also would have had some inconsistencies in terms of your soil pH. Tell us the specific challenges that you've had.
Well, for me, good morning again. For me, what had happened before I done the soil test was that I was planted in an area where the pH was high. So I find that the plants had stunted growth. So when Murphy came, Mr. Gooden came and did the soil test, and I was telling me that, okay, the area that I planted now is better because of the range of the pH. And as my colleagues have said a while ago, that the pH will make certain nutrients available. And because of that shift from that high pH to a more ideal range, I realized that the nutrient accessibility to the plant was greater. And as a result, the plants thrive better.
Okay. Before I bring in Derek Richard to talk about water pH, let me bring Murphy back in, because here it is, Murphy, that these two farmers, the crops that they're growing, they're different, but they still have to be focused on the different pH levels. And as I just heard mentioned, that pH range is ranging from between 4.5 to 8.2 in some instances. Now, how does one correct that when you have that that difference in terms of the pH range?
All right. No, as it relates out here to the correction of these pH, one of the things that we always take key note of is that whenever we're writing our agricultural management system programs, what we do, depending on how much or how wide these ranges are from the ID level, we basically prescribe a certain quantity of either Calci-Fersan or Sulf-Fersan. So the aim is not to bring it all the way down where it's going to still be outside the range. The aim, depending on the crop that's being grown, is to get it between the right, basically the right level.
For the particular crop?
Exactly. No, again, out here, I must stress this. It does not matter how much fertilizer you're putting on. If the pH is not right, it's not within the right ranges, this can be a total waste of time and money.
Okay, and so it would be like buying what you don't need, and of course using what you don't need and not seeing a difference.
Exactly. So that's the best way to put it.
Yes. Now, you of course have to do the testing. You've spoken about the soil ameliorant. How often should you be testing? Should you be testing depending on the crop that you're going to be putting into the ground?
All right. No. As it relates to the testing, for a soil test, it is basically recommended that you have a soil test done at least once every 5 years. Right? Now, one of the things that we also offer at Newport-Fersan is that we also do on-site pH testing, right? So we basically have a particular tool that what it does, it basically helps us on spot to know the pH range or the pH level rather. And what this does, we use this as a guide, right? So that's what we do.
All right, excellent. And let me just turn the spotlight now on the water pH, because that is important. Let us bring Derek Richard in for that. Mr. Richard, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. You?
I am great. How long have you been in farming?
I specifically have been planting papayas since about 2002, thereabout, yeah.
And why papayas?
I'm not sure about me, just love it. And at present, I I hardly see myself planting anything else.
And
It's just
it's actually a good crop to grow
it,
because there is demand for it.
yes, it is.
Yes, in fact, Akeem was telling me earlier that he is thinking of getting into it too because it is one of those areas where people are demanding it, but we're not growing enough of it.
Okay, and it's a risky crop, but in terms of hurricane, because it takes 9 months to come to start ripening, and then anywhere in that 9 months you can get the hurricane. You can get the hurricane anywhere within that 9 months period. So but it's a risk. It's a risk way.
It's a risk worth taking.
Yes, definitely so.
What challenges, if any, have you experienced in terms of water pH issues?
All right, most of the time, we are located would always have, except always have pipe water. So with the chlorine, it would not be ideal for your plant for spraying. When you spray the foliage, fertilizer, and so forth. So when I ran into Mr. Campbell at the farm store, was buying something, and he was luckily he was there, and seen me buying the product, and I said, because I was doing something with the pH, but then I did not have a meter, and he was there, and he just introduced me to the meter same time, and he ensured he bring it to me. I'm in Westmoreland, and he make sure bring it from Kingston for me. As a result of that, so I'm always checking the pH water now, checking the water to make sure I'm in the right range.
Good.
And the result was overwhelming. When I spoke to Mr. Gooden, when I meet Mr. Gooden after that now, and I tell him the experience with the pH when we fix the pH. I fertilized like last year September using Fersan fertilizer, and I did not use any fertilizer until about February of this year, and I was getting some papaya that was too big for the local market.
Oh.
And I was telling him about it. I think it's the pH meter that I have in possession.
Yeah,
by the
so
property.
you're now able to test and of course be more accurate in terms of the water pH. Gentlemen, I'm fast running out of time, so let me just get a final comment from each of you. So, Mr. Gray, you would recommend soil testing, eh?
Most definitely. I mean, it saves money because you give the plant what it needs, and you get your parameters where you want them to increase productivity.
Excellent. Akeem?
Definitely as well. As Mr. Gray said, definitely let you know what you're working with in the soil and what is it that you need to actually add. And sometimes I think most time we just show and fertilizer, so the soil testing will be like a guide to help you.
And Mr. Richard, in terms of water pH?
Very important to check to make sure your water, the pH is at the right level, because the plant will absorb most of the nutrients with ease, and it's very effective.
All right, thanks much. Griffin Gray of HAC Farms, Akeem Braham, watermelon farmer, and Derek Richard, papaya farmer out of Westmoreland. Thank you all for this morning. All right, and then we're going to go back now to Murphy. These gentlemen, they clearly have done their homework. They have been working with you, and all of this is very, very important, Murphy, in terms of the work that is being done on the ground. But is there any additional information or service being offered by Newport-Fersan, Jamaica, to help farmers solve issues that they face in terms of water and soil pH issue problems? Murphy?
What I'll do out here is that I'll just start with the soil first,
Sure.
and then I'll move on to the water. Now, as it relates to what other services that we offer at Newport-Fersan, the first thing out there is always having a soil test done. Now, most of our farmers do, they have not done a soil test, right? Before you need to know where you're going, you need to know where you're at, right? So having a soil test done is always the first line. Now, secondly, we at Newport-Fersan, we basically conduct technical field visitation. Now, the technical field visitation is not just to visit a farmer field and just have a regular conversation. The aim is to identify issues and provide solutions to the farmer. All right. We also conduct technical field appraisals, and the field appraisal is basically us identifying particular issues So the appraisal can basically be done before a farmer plants, during a farmer planting, and even after. Because the aim always is to give the farmer maximum, right? The aim is always maximum. All right, and we also offer free farmers trainings for those who want to learn more. So it's not a case where these information are not being put out there, right? So whether these farmer trainings are being done in person, the aim is to always teach as much as we can, because there's a big difference when it comes down to education and power. So we want our farmers to have that power needed for them to actually practice the right way so that they can basically get the maximum result that they need.
All right, and all of that is very important. I'm out of time, Murphy, but I'm sure that when the next chat that we have about the soil and water pH, you will come back with more information. Is there anything else that you want to add before you leave us?
All right, so again, I am stressing this to our farmers. The ideal soil pH is 5.5 to 6.5. If you're not operating within these ranges, you're basically wasting time and money. So it's important, farmers, reach out, have a soil test done, know your pH. So farmers can reach out to us at Newport-Fersan at the contact 550-7400. So that's 550-7400.
Thank you so very much, Murphy. Looking forward to our next conversation with you.
Yes, thank you, Althea.
All right, take care. Murphy Gooden there, agronomist. And this has been another in the series, Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions.
Fersan in the Field, Real Issues, Real Solutions was brought to you by Newport-Fersan Jamaica Limited, the first on the land.